بالله من شرور أنفسنا وسيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله حبيبه وصفيه أدى الأمانة وبلغ الرسالة ونصح لهذه الأمة وجاهد في الله حق جهاده حتى أتاه اليقين. فاللهم صل وسلم وبارك على هذا النبي الأمين وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين وعلى من اهتدى بهديه وسار على دربه إلى يوم الدين. ثم أما بعد، فإن أصدق الحديث كتاب الله وخير الهدي هدي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وشر الأمور محدثاتها وكل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار أو كما قال عليه الصلاة والسلام. ثم أما بعد, my dear brothers and sisters, my dear community members, we start our khutbah today by praising our Lord subhanahu wa ta'ala for all His blessings that He bestowed upon us. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala keep blessing each and every one of us all the time. And may He subhanahu wa ta'ala make us among those who are thankful all the time. As He said in the Quran, لَإِن شَكَرْتُمْ لَأَزِيدَنَّكُمْ, I will increase you in the blessings and the favors as long as you keep showing thankfulness and gratitude. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us all among ash-shakirin. Ameen. My dear brothers and sisters, we are in the month of Rajab. And we know that the month of Rajab is one of the four Doj Ran. Great. All right. Somebody has to take care of it. So, we are in the month of Rajab. And the month of Rajab is one of the four sacred months in Islam. We have Rajab by itself. And then we have 3 months, sacred months, Al-Ashhur al-Hurum, in a row. Dhul Qa'dah, Dhul Hijjah, and Al-Muharram. And these months were sacred even before Islam. When the Prophet ﷺ came as a prophet and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala started revealing to him, Islam just emphasized on the sacredness of these months. What does that mean? It means that any good deed, good action, righteous action we do during these 4 months, the reward, al-hasanat, will be multiplied. But at the same time, we have to be very careful not to do anything wrong, especially when it comes to oppression. That's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in the Quran, after mentioning these months, He said, فَلَا تَظْلِمُوا فِيهِنَّ أَنفُسَكُمْ. So do not wrong yourselves during these months. We have to be very careful not to do something that might displease Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In addition to this, the month of Rajab is known to be the introduction to the month of Ramadan that is coming soon, inshallah. Our scholars, our Salaf, our ancestors used to consider the month of Rajab as the month when we plant the seeds. In Sha'ban, we water the seeds. In Ramadan, we harvest. We see the result of our actions. So if we are waiting until Ramadan to start doing good and increasing in doing the good actions, I'm afraid it will be too late by that time. So Ramadan or Rajab is the best time to start preparing for Ramadan, spiritual. Also, the month of Rajab is known to be the month when one of the very important events took place during the time of our beloved Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And this event is called Al-Israa wal-Mi'raj. Al-Israa wal-Mi'raj. We don't know exactly which night this event took place, but most of the scholars, they said that it took place during the month of Rajab. Few months, or about 2 years, I would say, before 2 years, or 2 years before Al-Hijrah Nabawiyya, before the migration from Mecca to Al-Madinah. This journey of Al-Israa wal-Mi'raj, my dear brothers and sisters, is a miracle, mu'jiza. It's a miracle because there is no way that anyone can scientifically explain why it happened that way. Because Al-Israa wal-Mi'raj are two trips that the Prophet ﷺ took at the same night. The first one is called Al-Israa, which is a miraculous journey that took the Prophet ﷺ from Mecca to Jerusalem. Al-Mi'raj is the miraculous journey that took the Prophet ﷺ from Jerusalem to the seventh heaven. Al-Isra, by the way, the word Isra in Arabic means walking at night. Al-Isra means walking at night. Al-Mi'raj means ascension, going up. That's why this trip is called Al-Isra wal-Mi'raj. It took place during the same night, at the same night. And the Prophet ﷺ took this journey not spiritually, psychologically, no, by his body as well. It was a physical journey, that's why it's considered a miracle. Otherwise, most of us, and sometimes all of us, we have these journeys that we take during the dream when we are sleeping. Is that a miracle? No, it's not. But taking this journey physically with your own body, it becomes a miracle. My dear brothers and sisters, the story of Al-Isra wal-Mi'raj is an amazing story, beautiful story. Unfortunately, for the sake of time in this khutbah, we cannot go through the details of this story. But you can go to any book of hadith or any book of seerah, and you will find the entire story in details. I highly recommend you, with your family members, go and take any book of seerah and read about it to learn what happened exactly. So what we're going to do today at this khutbah, in these few minutes we have, we're going just to reflect on some points that I believe they are relevant to our situation at this time. So number one, my dear brothers and sisters, the timing of Al-Isra wal-Mi'raj. It happened during a very sensitive time. At a moment where the Prophet ﷺ was inside a tunnel full of darkness without being able to see the light at the end of the tunnel. In other words, it happened at a time where the Prophet ﷺ was running out of options. After spending about 10 years or 11 years in Mecca, reaching out to his people, sharing with them the word of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and his own people faced him with hatred, with attempts of, harming him. Even some of his companions were killed. When he realized that Mecca is not the right place to establish the Muslim society, where Muslims will be able to practice their faith freely, then he started reaching out to other areas. He went to the city of Taif, and he talked to the leadership of the city of Taif. But you know what happened to him over there? They rejected him. Not only rejected him, but they send to him their kids and the full people chasing the Prophet ﷺ in the streets of the city of Ta'if. And they expelled him from there. When the Prophet ﷺ went back to Mecca with Zayd ibn Haritha radiallahu anhu, he was not permitted, he was not allowed to go back inside Mecca to his home. They prevented him from entering Mecca. So imagine now the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, a homeless, staying outside Mecca, not being able to go to his home. When he was in that situation, Zayd ibn Haritha radiallahu anhu told him, Ya Rasulullah, look at our situation. What are we going to do? Where is the exit from this hard situation? Zayd ibn Haritha started losing hope that things can be better in the future. At that point, the Prophet ﷺ responded to him, Inna Allah ja'ilun lima tara makhraja. Allah will make an ease. Allah will make a way out of this situation. Don't worry. We are doing our best. We are just doing what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wanted us to do. Now, if we got stuck in this situation, He will take care of us. Subhanallah. And by the way, this situation also came after, right before visiting the Ta'if, the Prophet ﷺ and the companions, his followers, they went through 3 years of boycott and sanctions in Mecca. Which means for 3 years, they were driven out of their homes and they stayed outside Mecca in a place called Shi'ar Abi Talib, a piece of land that belonged to Abu Talib, the uncle of the Prophet ﷺ. And during the 3 years, the Prophet ﷺ with his followers, they suffered. On the top of this suffering, the Prophet ﷺ lost his wife Khadija radiallahu anha and lost his uncle Abu Talib. So try to imagine the psychological state of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam after going through all this stuff. Finally, when he was allowed to go inside Mecca, to go to his home, because there was a man from Quraysh by the name of Al-Mut'am ibn Adi. Al-Mut'am ibn Adi was not a Muslim. He was a mushrik. But he didn't like the injustice that was done to the Prophet ﷺ. He didn't like it. So he stood up for justice. He went to the leaders of Quraysh and he told them, what you are doing to Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam is not right. And I'm taking the decision to allow him to enter his home under my own protection. And he brought with him his sons, members of his own tribe and clan, and he told them, if anyone touches him or tries to harm him, then he is harming me and my family. This is how the Prophet ﷺ entered Mecca and to his home. When this happened, few days right after this, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blessed the Prophet ﷺ with an Israa Mi'raaj, this miraculous journey. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala documented this in the Quran at the beginning of Surah Al-Isra. سبحان الذي أسرى بعبده ليلا من المسجد الحرام إلى المسجد الأقصى الذي باركنا حوله لنريه من آياتنا إنه هو السميع البصير. Beautiful verses where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talked about how He took His servant Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam from al-Masjid al-Haram in Mecca to al-Masjid al-Aqsa in Jerusalem. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala here told us that al-Masjid al-Aqsa, the farthest mosque in Jerusalem, is a blessed place. Not only the masjid itself, not only the sanctuary itself, but the entire area. Barakna hawlahu, which means the surrounding land in that place is blessed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The other thing that we need to reflect on, my dear brothers and sisters, is what happened in this miraculous journey. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, of course, through the verses of the Quran, told us about the other life, the afterlife. That death is not the final destination. Death is just a transition from this short limited life to another one that will last forever. And we have several verses in the Quran talking about Al-Jannah, heaven, An-Nar, hellfire, the day of judgment, Yawm al-Qiyamah, As-Sirat, the bridge that people should cross to go to Al-Jannah. The verses of the Quran describe to us what afterlife looks like. In this miraculous journey, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala took the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam to the seventh heaven, to where no creation ever has been. Only Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And he allowed him to see with his own eyes how Al-Jannah is, how Jahannam is, how the Sirat is. So, what we believe in, the Prophet ﷺ saw it with his own eyes. When he came back and he started telling his companions the details of this trip, this is exactly what he saw. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala showed him a sample of the afterlife. By doing this, the Iman, the yaqeen of the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam was upgraded from ilm al-yaqeen to ayn al-yaqeen. Ilm al-yaqeen is certainty. Ilm al-yaqeen is the certainty based on knowledge, information. And of course we trust that Al-Quran al-Kareem is the word of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and we believe in every single word in the Quran. So our belief in the afterlife is based on the information and the knowledge that we got from the Quran. The yaqeen of the Prophet ﷺ is based on what he experienced with his own eyes. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he wanted to entertain the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam and to show him that love and support. In other words, telling him that if people on this earth are giving you a hard time and rejecting you, I'm your Lord, I'm your Creator, and I'm bringing you back to me, closer to me than anyone else from my own creation, and showing you what other people just heard about. You are the only one who saw with his own eyes how the afterlife looks like. So Al-Israa Mi'raaj increased our belief in this article of our faith, which is the afterlife. It's very important. The other point that we need to reflect on, my dear brothers and sisters, is the way Al-Israa Mi'raaj, especially Al-Mi'raaj, shaped our practice in Islam. The 5 daily prayers that we do every single day were prescribed upon the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam during the journey of Al-Mi'raj. Before that day, Muslims used to pray 2 prayers a day. 2 rak'ah in the morning and 2 rak'ah in the evening. And I'm sure that some of us are saying in their hearts, I wish it could stay like that. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows the best. But during the journey of Al-Mi'raj, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala prescribed on Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and his ummah to pray 5 times a day. So every time we pray, every single day, we remember that every other obligatory action that we do as Muslims was prescribed on the Prophet ﷺ when he was on earth, except the Salah. It was prescribed on the Prophet ﷺ and this ummah when he was in the 7th heaven. This should make us value this prayer that we do every single day. That this is something extremely important. And that's why the Prophet ﷺ described as-salah as what? عماد الدين. الصلاة عماد الدين من أقامها فقد أقام الدين ومن تركها فقد هدم الدين. This is what the Prophet ﷺ said in the hadith. The 5 daily prayers are the backbone of our deen, of our religiosity, of our commitment to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Whoever establishes the 5 daily prayers, he or she have their deen straight. Whoever neglects the salah, it's as if he or she destroyed their deen. One of the very last, if not the very last advice the Prophet ﷺ left with this ummah right before his death, as-salah, as-salah, the prayer, the prayer. Never neglect your prayer. Never neglect your prayer because you are busy with anything else in this world, in your life, or because you are lazy, or because you are doing anything else. As-salah is the priority in our lives. It comes before anything else. When we know that it's the time for the salah, we have to put everything on the side and spend those moments and minutes just between us and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The other thing that we can reflect on when it comes to the miraculous journey of the Israa Mi'raaj, my dear brothers and sisters, is that this journey itself was a trial, was a test to the believers. And when the Prophet ﷺ, the morning after this journey, when he started sharing with the people of Mecca that last night I traveled to Jerusalem and I came back. He didn't tell them about Al-Mi'raj yet. He just shared them the news about what? Al-Israa. And people were like, are you okay? Are you sure? You are talking about a trip from here to Jerusalem that takes from us 1 month going to Jerusalem and another month coming back. And you are telling us that you did this journey in 1 night? Are you okay? Subhanallah. Some of the people of Quraysh, they wanted to take advantage of this news. And they started going to some of the Sahaba just to kind of testing them and telling them, this is what your prophet is saying. I mean, do you still believe in him? Do you believe that a sane person can say this? And they went to Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiallahu anhu. And Abu Bakr didn't hear about this. I mean, at that time when they talked to him, he didn't meet the Prophet ﷺ that morning to get the news. So they came to Abu Bakr as-Siddiq and they told him, Sahibuka, your friend, is saying such and such. That last night, he took the journey to Jerusalem and he came back right away. In 1 night. Do you believe him? And he was like, إِن كَانَ قَدْ قَالَهَا فَقَدْ صَدَقَ. If he truly said this, then he said the truth. I have no problem trusting him and believing in him. He said, لَقَدْ صَدَّقْتُهُ عَنِ الْخَبَرِ يَأْتِيهِ مِنَ السَّمَاءِ فَكَيْفَ لَا أُصَدِّقُهُ فِي هَذِهِ. I have trusted him and believed in him when he said that he is receiving the revelation from the heaven, from Allah. How come I don't trust him in this news? Of course I do. From that point and on, Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu was called what? As-Siddiq, the truthful. Because of the way he trusted Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. There were some people in Mecca who were at the edge. They didn't know whether to remain Muslims or not. When they heard about this, they said, that's it. It's as if the opportunity for them to get rid of their commitment. So that's why it was fitna, it was mihna, it was ibtila, a trial to the believers. The last point that I would like to share with you, my dear brothers and sisters, which requires a lot of reflection. When we ask the question, why did Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala take the Prophet ﷺ from Mecca to Jerusalem and then from Jerusalem to the seventh heaven? Why didn't he take him straight from Mecca to the seventh heaven? Why this transit? Why this stop in Bayt al-Maqdis, Palestine? Why? And things like this don't happen like haphazard. There is a significance. And I believe that the significance is to connect this ummah of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam with that sacred place. In addition to Mecca, in addition to Al-Madinah, we do have and believe in the sacredness of another place called Al-Quds, Bayt al-Maqdis, where there is the farthest masjid, Al-Masjid al-Aqsa over there. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala documented the story of Israa Mi'raaj in this surah called Surah Al-Israa, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned Al-Masjid al-Aqsa for us to always keep in our hearts and minds that that place, the sacredness of Masjid al-Aqsa is no less than the sacredness of Al-Bayt al-Haram in Mecca and the Masjid al-Nabawi in Al-Madinah al-Munawwarah. My dear brothers and sisters, not only we believe in this, but we feel the obligation of doing something when we see that sacred place under occupation. Why in the 21st century some people have to live under occupation? Why? Why shouldn't be they free to live with their own freedom like everyone else in the world? Why in the 21st century people have to be treated as second or third class citizens? Why this is happening? Why in the 21st century people cannot connect with their family members, cannot visit their relatives, because there is a wall that we decided to call apartheid wall, separating families and communities, separating people from their own land that they cultivate. Why this humanity is allowing such thing to happen in the 21st century? This injustice has to stop. And the people of the world have to do something in order to stop this injustice. Unfortunately, not everyone sees it as an injustice because of their bias and because of the way they think about the struggle of the people of Palestine. My dear brothers and sisters, our duty as Muslims and human beings is to keep struggling for the freedom of the people of Palestine, because they have the right to live in the land that belongs to them for centuries. They don't know anywhere else. They have the right to live free, with dignity, like everyone else. It's our duty. And we can do a lot of things, starting from a simple, powerful dua, to educating people, to lobbying politicians and lawmakers. There are a lot of things that we can do. To financial support to the organizations that are working for this cause. My dear brothers and sisters, this is the significance of the Israa Mi'raaj. If we just read the story of the Israa Mi'raaj, the beautiful, amazing story, without reflecting on the significance, then we're not doing justice to this beautiful event that took place at the time of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم فاستغفروه إنه هو الغفور الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على أشرف المرسلين سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين ثم أما بعد. Based on what we have seen so far, the way the New Zealand people and political leadership responded to the horrific terrorist act that took place last Friday in New Zealand, I can tell you that that country is amazing. New Zealand is rising with love to push away hate and violence. In response to last Friday's massacre of Muslim worshippers, New Zealand broadcasted a national call to prayer today at 1:34 p.m. their local time, marking exactly 1 week since the attack. It was live, with the entire nation watching in the presence of their Prime Minister, Jacinda Ardern, and right in front of Masjid al-Noor, where an Islamophobic white supremacist terrorist tried to terrorize the world. So, dear brothers and sisters, let's remember our shaheeds, our martyrs, and keep them always and their loved ones in our dua. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala shower them all with His infinite mercy. We should also pray for the guidance of the extremists and people who allowed hate and bigotry to shape their views to this world. Muslims and non-Muslims alike. Also pray for the people of New Zealand and their leadership. Share your feelings with one another and with everyone around you. Don't let their memory fade away. Leave messages of love and solidarity for New Zealand in the comment sections of publications like social media or websites, whatever, as well as through letters to the editor. Ask your Hindu friends to respond to the Hindu extremists on social media who celebrated the New Zealand massacre in 428. While New Zealand's Prime Minister celebrated religious freedom today by joining Friday prayers and broadcasting it live throughout New Zealand, China has banned Muslim prayers and placed about 3 million Uyghur Muslims in concentration camps. I've heard that this is the largest concentration camps in the history of humanity. Keep an eye on the media. Whenever journalists write or talk about hate and racism, it is important to remind them to use the term Islamophobia and white supremacy terrorism to describe such horrific crimes. Name the problem. It's Islamophobia. Because if you cannot name it, you cannot fight it. Gun control is part of the problem. Hate is the main problem. Keep in mind, my brothers and sisters, that the Holocaust did not begin with the killing of the Jewish people. It started with the Nazi government's hateful propaganda that was translated later on to massacres and genocide against the Jewish people. When you talk about the terrorist who committed this horrific crime, do not mention his name. Call him an Islamophobic white supremacist. This is who that person was. I believe it's the right time now for all of us and our fellow Americans to start a straightforward and honest conversation about the diseases that are destroying not only America, but the entire world. To talk about white supremacy, to talk about anti-black racism, to talk about Islamophobia, and to talk about anti-Semitism. These viruses, these cancers, should never be allowed to take place within our society and within our nation. Again, this massacre that took place last week should not only bring us together as Muslims and people from all walks of life, just to mourn the loss of the beautiful souls, and then after that we go back to our homes as if nothing happened. Actions should be taken. Because if we don't take actions, then the same, God forbid, crime might happen again against people of different faiths in their own sanctuaries, in their own houses of worship. We should never allow such thing to happen to any human being on this earth. We might disagree with one another, which is okay, but we should not allow such crimes to happen to our brothers and sisters in humanity. My dear brothers and sisters, before I close, there are two events that are coming soon to our community. The first one is tomorrow, Saturday, the East Lake Masjid, the East Lake Islamic Center. MashaAllah, the brothers and sisters over there, they are dreaming big. Alhamdulillah, MashaAllah. And they just started a new project to purchase a big place for their community down south in Chula Vista. And tomorrow they are having a banquet, fundraising banquet at the Royal Indian. And please do your best to attend. Jazakumullah khair. Do your best to attend and be part of this event, that you do sadaqah jariyah, and it will add to your hasanat and the hasanat of your family, inshallah. So tomorrow at 6:30 p.m. at the Royal India, there will be the banquet of the East Lake Masjid, inshallah. Also on Saturday the 6th, Islamic Relief is having a fundraising banquet together for Syria. The main keynote speaker will be Imam Suhaib Webb, who is going to be the keynote speaker at this. So this event is going to take place on Saturday, April the 6th, here in San Diego. And for more information, there is a table outside. Please stop by, get more information, and purchase your ticket from there. Jazakumullah khair. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to bless all of us, our family members and our brothers and sisters all over the world. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala always to keep us safe in our masajid, in our homes, in our places of worship, in our workplace, wherever we are. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala keep all of us safe and protected, Ya Rabbi. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala keep guiding us till the last moment of our lives. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept from us the good deeds that we have done and forgive us for our mistakes and sins and shortcomings. نسأل الله تبارك وتعالى أن يجعلنا جميعا من الذين يستمعون القول فيتبعون أحسنه. اللهم أرنا الحق حقا وارزقنا اتباعه، وأرنا الباطل باطلا وارزقنا اجتنابه. اللهم اغفر لنا ذنوبنا وكفر عنا سيئاتنا وتوفنا مع الأبرار في جنات النعيم. اللهم انصر الإسلام وأعز المسلمين. اللهم انصر الإسلام وأعز المسلمين واخذل من خذل الدين. عباد الله، إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون. وأقم الصلاة.